Welcome back to the Jag Bros. This is a huge game. We are going to discuss the Colts versus the Jags in Jacksonville. This is Joey, and I'm here with my two older brothers, Jack and JT, and we are very excited for this game. Last time I think we're wearing our throwback uniforms. It's the Colts versus the Jags for the AFC South. Clear victor. And we need everyone there. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be apparently a wet game. It may rain, but we need everyone there. This is huge, meaningful games in December. We don't have that many in Jacksonville, so go out there and support the team. And let's get into what the Jags need to do to beat the Colts this Sunday.
Woo, this is a big game. We are diehard Jags fans since the 90s, grew up in Jacksonville, kind of spread out all over the country now in Dallas and South Florida. But man, I wish I was in Jacksonville because it's going to be an amazing game. The Jags have had the Colts number in Jacksonville for a long time. In fact, the last time that the Colts beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville was 2014. When the QB matchup was Andrew Luck versus Chad Henne. So the Jags are on a roll in Jacksonville versus the Colts. And what a difference a month makes. A month ago, it's like, the Jags are on the fringe of the wild card. Things aren't looking good. I'm ready to count them out. And now all of a sudden, we're tied and own the tiebreaker for first and have a great opportunity to cement our spot as the new kings of the AFC South yet again.
This is different than last time we were in the playoffs. Last time we were in the playoffs, we needed to riddle off several wins in a row just to make it. Right now, we're sitting on top of the division. Right now, we control our own destiny, and it starts in Jacksonville at 1 o'clock this Sunday. I could not be more excited for this game.
Big game, and so as always, we're going to break down the offense versus defense versus offense, talk about keys of victory, and then drop our score predictions. Jags fans, we want you to engage in your thoughts as well. Drop them in our YouTube video. We'll respond to each comment. But let's get started. Jags offense, Colts defense. Trevor Lawrence and the Jags passing attack has started to gain some good momentum. We've been able to get more in a groove on offense. How do you think the Jags continue that groove on Sunday versus the Colts?
Well, it's all going to depend, I think, a little bit on this rain. Trevor has been historically not as good in the rain, I feel like.
Not as good. He's been horrific in the
rain. Hopefully he can hold on to the ball. He had a lot of his fumbles in the rain. We're going to need to start this running attack. We didn't run very well against the Titans, but you have no DeForest Buckner. That's a huge gap in their defensive line that you need to take advantage of. I know our offensive line's a little beat up with, it looks like maybe McCary's out and Walker Little. We're going to either have trial by fire with Wyatt Milam at guard or maybe even Chuma Adoga, but you need to open up that middle and let Etienne and Tootin run this rock right up the middle.
And this is the concerning part. You're right, Joey, that the Colts are a little bit banged up in their front seven, which could be advantageous. But thus far this year, the Colts have been a pretty good run-stopping defense. They rank somewhere in the 5 to 7 range for the run defense. Where they can be had is through the air. And so in some ways, this should work out for us, except for the fact that it's a rain game. And Trevor has been horrific in rain games, both in college and in the pros. I think a lot of us remember that game in Philadelphia a few years ago where Trevor had like 5 turnovers. So this will be interesting. So in my mind, I would love to see Etienne and Tootin get a good game. But I suspect if you look at the other defenses that are around the Colts from a run-stopping perspective, it's Seattle, it's the Texans, it's the Chiefs, it's the Browns. A lot of those, it's the Rams. A lot of those teams really did a nice job against our rushing attack and put the pressure on Trevor. So I think this is a big game for Jacoby Myers, a big game for Brenton Strange. Those are the guys that need to be able to have a great game.
Well, good news for the Jaguars as well is Parker Washington seems to be back out practicing. So he could be very big as well. Someone sure-handed, someone that Trevor trusts, because I feel like we're going to need quick throws within 10 yards or less.
Man, if Parker Washington can come back, that'd be huge. I really thought it may be a couple weeks, but he looks really good in practice right now. And some more good news is, look, we all grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. Florida weather, we're recording this Friday afternoon. I mean, weather can change in a heartbeat in Florida. So maybe it's going to be bright, beautiful, and sunny because you're absolutely right, JT. The Colts' weakness is their secondary. It's why they went all out to go get Sauce Gardner. They're currently about somewhere in the neighborhood of 25th in terms of pass secondary, in terms of yards. But they're kind of similar to our defense, where they have holes, but they're going to make big plays. They're top 5 in terms of interceptions caused. So Trevor and the Jags offense have got to watch the ball, maintain ball security, especially if it's a rain game, and not make those costly mistakes, because everyone is predicting right now a close game. And yes, Jakobi Meyers has unlocked a new gear for the Jags offense. I saw this week. We have been banging the drum for years on this podcast saying the Jags need to unlock the middle of the field. Well, since getting Jakobi Meyers, talk about a difference. Weeks 1 through 9, Trevor Lawrence's QB rating is 73.7. Weeks 10 through 13, Trevor Lawrence's QB rating is 106.7. More than a 30-point QBR difference over the middle of the field. Jakobi Meyers has not dropped a pass. He's been clutch, and he is going to be important for the Jags offense.
Look, if you look at the fantasy points against the tight end position, the Colts are second to worst in the league behind the Bengals. This should be a game for Brenton Strange, and I think that it should be a game for Jakobi Meyers. The middle of the field should be open. I would imagine we will try to take advantage of that potential mismatch. The fortunate thing is the Colts don't have an elite pass rush. Like, they have a good pass rush, but they can be scored upon. They've given up a lot of points here recently, given up a lot of yards. This should be an opportunity for Jacksonville to be able to score in the mid-20s.
My biggest hot take, I hinted at this last episode, is going to be, it's time yet again to say BTJ breakout game. BTJ torched the Colts last year. Brian Thomas Jr. had 5 catches for 122 yards and a touchdown. And then their second game put up 7 catches for 103 yards. So both games, he went over 100 yards. Again, he had that meme catch where he's running down the sideline and the Colts guy goes Superman and cannot catch up to Brian Thomas Jr. I think we finally see, with Jakobi Meyers and Brenton Strange eating over the middle of the field, we're going to see 2 or 3 long passes to BTJ, just go routes, just to see if he can beat the Colts cornerbacks, especially with no Sauce Gardner. So that's my hot take. I think we could finally see a 100-yard game from Brian Thomas Jr., maybe throw in a touchdown as well.
I don't know. BTJ's been struggling with his hands, and then you throw in the weather and the rain. I want him to have a comeback game, but I don't know if this is the game for it. I feel like this is going to be a over-the-middle, down and dirty, muddy game, and I think your best players for that is Brenton Strange, Parker Washington, Meyers, people with sure hands, willing to go over the middle and put their body on the line for the team.
I agree. Just give me 2 or 3 deep passes, maybe a second and short, where they're expecting the run, do a play action, and
catch
just
them sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sets up for that way. You have Sauce Gardner almost certainly out. I don't know if that has been completely finalized.
Yeah, it's currently doubtful, which typically in NFL language means out. So
yeah, so
we'll see.
You don't have that matchup, and if you are over rotating to guard what's been working for Jacksonville, which is over the middle routes to Strange and Jakobi Meyers, I agree with you, Jack. I think that's a sneaky play where I could see him getting 80 yards and a potential touchdown.
You're talking about a potential BTJ breakout. I have a feeling that this could be a potential Tootin big game. He's been so close to breaking some big ones. I think with the wet jerseys, he's going to be able to slip off a few tackles. I think he breaks a huge one this week.
Tootin, all aboard the Tootin train. I love Bashal Tootin, our rookie running back as well. So let's flip fields. Now let's talk about the Jags defense going up against the Colts offense. These teams are so similar in a lot of ways. They're just on completely opposite tracks. November was a great month for the Jaguars. November was a very rough month for the Colts. That's why they're both 8-4. If you actually look into the analytics too, which is fascinating to me, the Colts have this ridiculous difference of points. They've scored 357 points this year to allowing 249. In fact, the Colts offense has scored the second most points in the NFL, only behind the Cowboys offense. But they're trending in the wrong direction. Daniel Jones is starting to look like New York Giants Daniel Jones again. Danny Dimes and Trevor Lawrence, there are always a lot of comparison to these two guys because they're hot and then cold. What do you expect to see from Daniel Jones and just from the Colts offense as a whole?
Well, he's still suffering a fractured fibula. Granted, we're not sure how bad it is, but he definitely looked less mobile. He looks like he's not going to be able to move. So this is a very big chance for the defensive line to go try to get more sacks, eat up on Daniel Jones, and put him out, because take him out of the game. They have to go all the way to their third string quarterback because Anthony Richardson is still on IR. He's not going to be able to move. So if you're going after him, he's going down. So I want to see Josh Hines-Allen's been going really well in the last couple of games, getting a sack almost every game so far in the last 3. Trayvon Walker looks like he will be back. Eric Armstead may be back. He was out at practice, but with a club, so I don't know how good he'll be. But we definitely need to see our defensive line play very well this game, because Jonathan Taylor is the real deal. He is playing like Barkley did last year, and you have to shut that down. If you shut that down, you make them one-dimensional, and they're okay in the pass game, not great. I think you could take advantage.
A really, really interesting matchup for Jacksonville. We'll start with the quarterback, like you said, Jack. Joey, I think you did a great job. Daniel Jones is beat up. One of his secret weapons has been his mobility, either in extending plays or taking off and running. He's on pace for almost 250 yards rushing again this year, but some of that has tailed off a little bit in the last couple of weeks due to the injury. So that's something to be mindful of. They have some big play wide receivers: Alex Pierce, Josh Downs, Michael Pittman. Some of those guys aren't exactly the most scary guys out there from a down-to-down perspective, but a lot of them can take the top off the defense. And we have consistently shown our inability at times to cover deep. It's great that we have Lewis back. We're supposed to have Murray, our safety, which I still think is our best safety we've had since Donovan Darius. So that could be huge. But ultimately, we're bearing the lead here a little bit because this is strength on strength. This is the number one running back this year in Jonathan Taylor versus the number one run defense this year in the Jacksonville's defense. If you can limit Taylor and you can put it on Jones, boy, this game is I don't want to say easy one for Jacksonville to win, but that's a lot of things going right in our direction if we're able to limit Jonathan Taylor.
100%. 2 weeks ago, Jonathan Taylor was the runaway favorite for Offensive Player of the Year in the entire NFL. All of a sudden, it is now about a tied race between him and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Part of that is just JSN going off, but another part of that is Superman Jonathan Taylor has started to look a little bit human. And yes, they've gone up against some tough defenses the last 2 weeks. Well, the Jaguars have a very, very tough run defense. We are number one in a ton of categories. That's our identity. So it is strength on strength, or super strength on super strength. One of the best rushing attacks. In fact, one of the best running backs in the NFL against one of the best rushing defenses. And Joey, I totally agree with you. Armstead, this guy who felt like a dead weight for us last year, is going to be key. If we can get him back, he's been massive in getting after the quarterback. In fact, he is currently 7th among defensive tackles in sacks at 5.5 and 3rd in QB pressures for defensive tackles. And he is a force owning the middle and slowing running backs down. So if Armstead is available, that is going to be something to watch as we get closer and closer to game time.
I mentioned that the Colts are the second worst team covering tight ends in the league. Jacksonville statistically is the 4th worst. Now, if you zoom in, I think Jaguars fans would say a lot of that damage was done while Devin Lloyd was out and Eric Murray was out. So is there a scenario where we can control or at least limit maybe a top 3 tight end and Tyler Warren. And here's the other thing about the Jacksonville. Jacksonville's played some really good tight ends recently. Gadsden from the Chargers was good. Obviously, Bowers went off on us, but we were missing those defenders. McBride had a great game against us as well, against the Cardinals. So that is the other matchup that, on paper at least, should favor the Colts to have a pretty nice day, and that it's Tyler Warren.
I mean, the defense line, big game, but it's going to be a big game for these linebackers as well, filling these gaps, because I think that the Colts offensive line is a pretty good above average offensive line. So you're going to get blocks there. There's going to be a few holes, and it's going to be up to Foye, Devin Lloyd, and I think Ventrell Miller will get some plays here too, since they're going to be a heavy run offense. And you're going to need to be able to fill those holes and then make them actually throw it over the top, because it's going to be rainy. Daniel Jones is not as mobile, so he's not going to be able to extend the play if you blitz a bunch. So, I mean, I would bring the pressure, pack the box, and let your corners and safeties kind of be on an island. And until they can prove that they can beat you over the top, then you switch maybe to something a little less. But just stop the run and see where you go from there. Bring the pressure, pack the box, make sure Jonathan Taylor's going nowhere.
Taylor scares me, and Tyler Warren, as you mentioned, JT, he scares me too. He's been really good this year, and not just a good receiving tight end, he is a phenomenal blocking tight end. So I agree, Joey. I think this is a game that's going to come down to the trenches. If it is a rainy game, it could get very muddied up. It could be a game that is over the middle, which is where Tyler Warren should have a big game. I just look at it, and so much is going to depend on what version of Daniel Jones the Colts get and what version of Trevor Lawrence the Jags get. Because you looked at the first half of the season, Daniel Jones looked like this brand new reborn quarterback, couldn't make mistakes, was leading the number one offense in the NFL, had Jonathan Taylor going off for a historic year as well, and now they've come back to earth. The Colts have lost 3 out of their last 4. The Jags are on a roll. Jags have momentum. Trevor Lawrence has confidence. If the Jags can get ahead early, does that get into Daniel Jones' head, and does he have to start forcing throws where we could see the old DJ where he is fumbling or he is throwing terrible passes? And just like the Colts defense is opportunistic, the Jags defense is very opportunistic as well. Both, again, are top 5 in terms of interceptions. So, man, it's going to be a fun game.
All right, let's get down to the keys of the game. What do the Jaguars need to do to ensure that they win this game? Because this is a big one. The national media hasn't fully highlighted this, but people will be watching. This is a very important game. Jags have usually not done well. Granted, this is not the same Jags. This is a completely different organization, and we've seen them break a lot of old trends of the old Jags. But national media will be watching. It will be talked about game. Can the Jaguars go out, win, and take the AFC South and take a game above everyone else?
I hope so. Offensively, the key, I think we've already highlighted this a ton. It feels like this needs to be a clean game for the Jags offense. Joey, you mentioned something in the last episode where a lot of the good games in terms of fewer penalties have been at home. The Jags are 4-2 at home. If you take out that London game, truly 4-1 in Everbank. The Colts have struggled on the road. They're 2-3. 3 out of their 4 losses this season have been on the road. So Trevor needs to play smart football. We don't need hero football from Trevor. We need more of what we saw last week against the Titans. Yes, I know the Titans stink and are terrible, but I just mean more of that gameplay and mindset where you can go for somewhere in the neighborhood of 180 to 200 yards, get some yards on the ground as well, Trevor, especially on 3rd and short, but limit turnovers. I know it's a rain game and that's going to be hard, but maximum 1. This should be a close game, should be a hard battle. So no more than 1 turnover for the Jags offense.
The rain game changes my prediction. If there's no rain game, I'm probably looking at Britton Strange yards or Jacoby yards, because I think that's where it is. I do think it comes down to Trevor, and I love what you said, Jack. The way I was going to say it is under 1.5 turnovers. Whether that's Tootin potentially fumbling it in a rain game, whether that is Trevor having multiple turnovers, we have to limit that. The Colts are a very good and good enough team to catch us if we're spotting them 2, 3, 4 turnovers.
I want to say my keys is going to be mostly on defense because I do think that this rain's going to affect this game and it's going to be a lower scoring game, trying to pound the ball and not take too many big shots because people are going to be scared to turn over the ball. So it's going to come down to getting after Daniel Jones. I think you need 3+ sacks on him. I think you have to limit Jonathan Taylor under 100 yards. And then my other key is going to be Cam Little, being able to kick in the rain, possibly a little windy. It could be a very kicker game. People are going to be hard to score in the red zone. So we need to make sure that Cam Little, he's been on a hot streak. He's been perfect ever since his NFL record field goal. So we need to make sure that he's continuing doing that and have a great game.
I will continue on defense. I will say we have to have Jonathan Taylor under 100 yards. There's been games where he's gone for over 200. There's been games where he's gotten multiple 3-4 touchdowns. So we cannot allow him to run all over us. I think we have what it takes to stop them. But if we make them one-dimensional, I really like our chances. So give me Jonathan Taylor under 100 total yards, whether that's through the air or running.
Totally agree with both of you guys. Yeah, you look at the Colts, the one win they had in November, the only game that Jonathan Taylor went over 100 yards, he goes for 244 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. All the other games he's been under 100, 0 touchdowns. The Jags have yet to give up a 100-yard rusher this season, so that is going to be key. I'm going to stick on the turnover train in terms of keys. So Jags, they need to limit it to 1 or fewer. Defensively, you need to cause turnovers. You need to force turnovers. And I'm not even going to give it a number other than to say the Jags, to me, need to win the turnover battle. I know we won the game against the Cardinals, even when we lost the turnover battle 4-0, but this isn't the Cardinals. This is the Colts. This is a playoff team. This is a legit team. So win the turnover battle, and I feel great about the Jags winning this game on Sunday in Everbank.
I have one last key. This is for both offense and defense. You got to limit the flags. You need to figure out a way to not beat yourself. No dumb penalties of illegal shifts or false starts. You got to limit pass interference or roughing the passer. You need to make sure that you don't break your back with bad penalties.
Limit the penalties. Come on, Jags. We know you can do it. We know you can find a way to win. Well, this is predictions time, and we always love to hear from you, Jags fans. And hey, maybe there's some Colts fans listening. We'll engage with you as well. Go drop your predictions on our YouTube video. We'll respond to each one. But who wants to get us started? What's the final score going to be Sunday afternoon? Jags versus Colts. The spread right now is 1.5 points in the Colts' favor. It's been changing back and forth all week. But who are you picking on Sunday?
Man, I got to take the Jags. I love how our schedule has worked out this year. Getting a really tough game followed by an easier or couple easy games afterwards. This is great. You had a nice, comfortable win against the Titans. Now you're able to focus against the Colts. We're getting healthy at the right time. The game is at home. I think Jacksonville has circled this game for a while to make sure that they play well. And yeah, give me the Jags 27-21 with Jacksonville securing a 1.5 game lead at that point over the Colts.
You got the score a little higher than I do. I do believe that the Jags win this game. I think if this was actually in Indianapolis, I may actually went against the Jaguars, but we've played very well at home. We're also wearing the throwback unis, which have been some of our best games with the Chiefs and the Houston Texans when we won. So I do think that they'll bring an extra energy. The Jaguars are going to absolutely want to win this game. It's going to be muddy. It's going to be a little ugly, but we win these ugly games. I think we win 17-20 on a last drive field goal with Cam Little putting it through the uprights.
Okie dokie, let's make it 3 for 3, and I'm going to go a big, bold prediction. Everyone's calling it a close game, and on paper, yes, it is, but momentum is a powerful thing in the NFL, and right now, all the momentum is trending in the Jags' direction, and it's trending against the Colts, and it's tough to play on the road, and it's going to be loud in Everbank Stadium, and I think the Jags are going to jump out early. I think Daniel Jones is going to have massive pressure. I think he's going to make mistakes, And I think the Jags make a clear, huge statement to the league, to the AFC South, with a Jacksonville Jaguars 24 to the Colts 10 victory.
Yeah, baby.
Woo!
I could see that happening.
I could see that very much.
I love it. I would love that. I look, there's a lot of scenarios where Jacksonville wins this game comfortably. I don't really see scenarios where the Colts blow us out.
No, yeah, I think this is either going to be very close or possibly a blowout for us. It kind of depends on whether we can cause those turnovers. I think if we can get them to turn the ball over more than twice, I think you're right, Jack, that we win this big. But I think if it's a low turnover battle, I think it's going to be close. But I do see the Jaguars pulling this out and getting to 9-4. That would be huge.
That'd be great. 9-4 would be amazing. Then we can, Sunday afternoon and into the evening, enjoy watching the Texans battle against the Chiefs. And hopefully the Texans lose and end that win streak. And then we are very comfortable in terms of the AFC South division lead.
Let's go Chiefs. Big Chiefs fans this week.
Yeah, just for a couple hours.
Yeah, no, I'm tired of the Texans riding this wave of the comeback victory against us, which is that still irritates me a little bit. Not in the fact that
100%.
we let it go, but the fact that Houston's been able to use this to fuel a little bit of a comeback for themselves. Man,
but it's also fueled us. It has definitely turned around this team. And again, we need that statement on Sunday.
No, I know. It feels like the Step Brothers scene where he smacks the guy. Like, I saw you die. I thought you were dead. But yet here they come. So I would love to put another game between us and the Texans.
I'm curious. Would you rather play the Chiefs or the Texans in the playoffs?
That's a difficult question because I would hate to face that defense. You never know. The Texans are never out because of that darn defense, but you also don't want to face Andy Reid in the playoffs because he is an amazing playoff coach. He's struggled, I feel like, recently in the regular season. There's been a couple seasons where the Chiefs didn't look as good in the regular season, and all of a sudden in the playoffs, they look like the old Chiefs again, and then they come out of nowhere and win the whole thing. So that's just an awful question. I would like both of them to not be there.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think I'm going to end up cheering for the Texans because we beat the Texans once, and then we all but beat the Texans the second time. I don't think that happens a third time for us. And the Chiefs, I get it. We beat them earlier this year. National media's watching in Jacksonville, but that's without Raji Rice. That's not playoff Mahomes and playoff Andy Reid. Part of me is just like, let's just keep the Chiefs out of it. So the fortunate thing for Jacksonville fans is either way is a potential good situation. You could talk yourself into either way, but I think I'm going to find myself cheering for Houston, at least in this one game.
Those would be the best problems to have because that would mean the Jaguars are in the playoffs and having a home game in the playoffs as well, which that's the goal. That's the aim, and you only do that by winning on Sunday in Jacksonville against the Colts. Going to be a big matchup, maybe the biggest of the season so far. So Jags fans, be there. Jags fans, be cheering, going crazy, shouting a bunch. Again, drop your predictions of the score right now on YouTube, or we're going to drop it later on X this weekend as well. Engage with us there. It's going to be an amazing game. We're going to be cheering and shouting this a whole bunch on Sunday. Dude.